Intervention of extraterrestrial beings. First, let's consider who was responsible for the events in Fatima. The large majority of Catholics believe that a Marian apparition took place in Fatima. However, a detailed analysis of the witnesses and children's statements does not support divine origins of these events. I think that they were not of divine origins because during the apparitions several errors had been made by the organizers, which wouldn't have happened if supernatural forces were responsible for them. For example, divine forces would have known that just before the apparition on August the 13th, the children were kidnapped and were not present in Fatima, while preparation for the apparition still took place, as was confirmed by many witnesses who saw a flash of light and a cloud above the tree. Divine beings would know that the First World War would not finish today, meaning the 13th of October 1917, when in fact it ended over a year later on the 18th of November 1918. The appearing lady did not look like the Mother of God. The figure was 3 feet 8 inches tall, looking more like a 12-year-old girl. It did not move its lips when speaking, did not move its legs when going away, and radiated such a strong light that it blinded the children. The display could not be natural because it was very complex and could not be man-made because the technologies used were unknown at that time. The only logical conclusion is that it had to be prepared by extraterrestrial beings of a much higher intelligence and technology than us. I assume that if extraterrestrial beings intervene in Fatima, there must have been other intervention elsewhere, because the Portuguese intervention could not be the only one. Therefore, I look for other unexplained, mystifying events in the history of humankind. I came to the conclusion that the intervention were not accidental, but resulted from the extraterrestrial beings' rules of engagement with men. They intervene only in critical periods of the development of mankind, such as the origins of the first civilizations and the rising of new religions. To such recent intervention also belonged the abandoning of the atom bomb by Nazi Germany and the collapse of the Soviet Union. The question arises how these extraterrestrial beings could intervene in our affairs. We are talking about beings belonging to a very high civilization, maybe many millions years older than ours, possessing absolute scientific and technical knowledge and a higher level of consciousness. They also have a full knowledge of working of our mind and have capability to communicate directly with our brains using waves and energy fields still unknown to us. These beings would not normally be involved in direct physical action against people, which could lead to conflict and the use of force. They would use persuasion and education methods, working through individuals such as prophets, teachers, gurus, or influential people. To be able to receive this communication, people must possess certain receiving abilities, so one could assume that not everybody is a good recipient of this information. Probably children, especially girls, possess these abilities, which would explain them being visionaries in many apparitions. It is possible that in the present world, some people, such as certain artists, scientists, and politicians, could be influenced by these beings, and that way could introduce important changes in our world.